The autumn rain hammered against the windows of Sophia's penthouse apartment, each drop seeming to mirror the tears she'd been holding back all week. As a successful fashion designer with her own boutique line, she was used to the fast-paced world of glamour and deadlines. Her marble countertops gleamed under the crystal chandelier, and her walk-in closet was filled with designer dresses that had graced red carpets. Yet tonight, surrounded by all this luxury, she felt emptier than ever. Her phone buzzed with another notification about tomorrow's fashion show, but Sophia couldn't bring herself to care. The recent loss of her mother had left her questioning everything: the meaning of success, the value of material possessions, and the hollow feeling that no amount of acclaim could fill the void in her heart. As she poured herself a glass of vintage wine, a faint sound caught her attention through the thin walls. It was barely audible over the storm, a weak coughing that seemed to go on and on. Sophia paused, wine glass halfway to her lips. She'd lived in this upscale building for 3 years, but had never really spoken to her neighbors beyond polite elevator pleasantries. The coughing persisted, growing more concerning by the minute. Sophia set down her glass and pressed her ear to the wall. The sound was coming from the apartment next door, 1-B. She knew an elderly man lived there alone. She'd seen him occasionally in the lobby, always impeccably dressed despite his obvious age, with kind eyes that reminded her of her late father. Something stirred within her, a pull she couldn't ignore. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "Sophia, darling, all the diamonds in the world mean nothing if you don't have a heart that shines brighter." Without overthinking it, Sophia slipped on her silk robe and stepped into the hallway. The elegant corridor, usually filled with the gentle hum of the building's air conditioning, felt different tonight. She knocked softly on 1-B. "Mister." She realized she didn't even know his name. A weak voice responded. Who is it?" "I'm your neighbor from 1-A. I heard coughing and wanted to check if you're all right." There was a long pause, then the sound of shuffling feet. The door opened slowly, revealing a man in his 70s, clearly unwell. His usually neat silver hair was disheveled, and his face was flushed with fever. Even in his weakened state, there was a dignity about him, a remnant of the distinguished gentleman he clearly was. "I'm Harold," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry if I disturbed you, Miss Sophia. And you didn't disturb me at all. Harold, you look terrible, and I mean that in the most caring way possible. When did you last eat or see a doctor?" Harold's eyes, glassy with fever, filled with unexpected tears. "I haven't been able to get to the store in 3 days. My doctor, I couldn't afford the visit this month. My pension." He trailed off, embarrassed. Sophia's heart clenched. Here was this proud, dignified man, clearly struggling. And she'd been wallowing in her penthouse, while he suffered in silence, just feet away. "Harold, I'm coming in, and we're going to take care of you right now." Over the next hour, Sophia discovered that Harold was a retired literature professor who had taught at the university for 40 years. His small apartment was filled with books, classical music records, and photographs of students whose lives he'd touched. Unlike her glamorous space, his home radiated warmth and memories. She learned he'd been battling pneumonia alone, too proud to ask for help and too worried about imposing on anyone. His wife had passed 5 years ago, and his only son lived across the country, unaware of his father's current condition. Sophia sprang into action with the same determination that had built her fashion empire. She called her personal physician, Dr. Martinez, who made house calls for his VIP clients. While waiting, she prepared hot soup from the gourmet ingredients in her kitchen, bringing it over in her finest china bowls. "You don't have to do this," Harold whispered as she helped him sip the warm broth. "You barely know me, Harold," Sophia said, adjusting the cashmere throw she'd brought from her apartment around his shoulders. "Sometimes the most important connections happen in an instant. My mother always said that kindness doesn't require a relationship. It just requires a heart." Dr. Martinez arrived within an hour, his medical bag in hand. After examining Harold, he prescribed antibiotics and recommended immediate care. "He needs monitoring for the next 48 hours, the doctor told Sophia privately. "His condition is serious, but treatable with proper care." Without hesitation, Sophia made a decision that would change both their lives. "Harold, you're staying with me until you're better. My place is bigger, and I can keep an eye on you." Harold protested weakly, but Sophia was already gathering his medications and a few personal items. Her designer guest room, which had only hosted fashion magazines and shopping bags, was about to serve a much more meaningful purpose. The next morning, Sophia called her assistant and postponed the fashion show. "Family emergency," she said, realizing as she spoke that it didn't feel like a lie. In less than 24 hours, Harold had begun to feel like family. As the days passed, something magical happened. While nursing Harold back to health, Sophia discovered a richness she'd never experienced. They shared stories over breakfast, her tales of runway shows and celebrity clients, his memories of inspiring young minds and watching his students grow into leaders, doctors, and artists. Harold, despite his illness, began sharing his love of classic literature with Sophia. As she read him passages from Dickens and Austen, she found herself understanding beauty in a completely new way. It wasn't about the cut of a dress or the sparkle of jewelry. It was about the connection between souls, the warmth of genuine care, and the way someone's eyes light up when they feel truly seen. "You know," Harold said one evening as they watched the sunset from her terrace, his color finally returning, "I spent my whole career teaching students about the human condition through literature. But you, my dear Sophia, you're living it. Your kindness this week is the most beautiful story I've ever been part of." Sophia felt tears streaming down her cheeks. "Harold, you've given me something no fashion show ever could. You've reminded me what real beauty looks like." On the 5th day, Harold was strong enough to return to his apartment. But neither wanted to say goodbye to their newfound friendship. Sophia had been transformed. The success she'd chased for years paled in comparison to the joy she'd found in simply caring for another person. "I have an idea," Sophia said, her designer mind spinning with possibilities. "What if we started something together?" That conversation led to the creation of Threads of Kindness, a unique venture that combined Sophia's fashion expertise with Harold's love of community. They transformed part of her boutique into a space where seniors could share their stories while volunteers, many of them young designers, created custom pieces inspired by their life experiences. Harold became the heart of the program, interviewing elderly community members and turning their stories into beautiful narratives that accompanied each custom piece. Sophia used her industry connections to make the program sustainable, and soon Threads of Kindness was featured in major fashion magazines, not for its glamour, but for its heart. 6 months later, at the program's first major showcase, Sophia stood on stage in a simple black dress, not designer, but sewn with love by Harold's neighbor Mrs. Chen, whose story of immigrating to America with nothing but hope had inspired the entire collection. "I used to think success was measured in headlines and sales figures," Sophia told the packed audience. "But I learned something from my dear friend Harold that changed everything. The most beautiful thing we can wear is compassion. The most valuable accessory is kindness. And the most stunning look of all is the glow that comes from making a difference in someone else's life." Harold, now healthy and vibrant, stood in the front row, beaming with pride. Their friendship had blossomed into something neither had expected. A partnership that combined glamour with genuine care, style with substance, and fashion with heart. The program grew exponentially, with celebrity endorsements and international recognition. But Sophia never forgot the rainy night that started it all. Every morning, she still knocked on Harold's door, not to check if he was sick, but to share coffee and plan their next act of kindness. You know what the most beautiful part of this story is? Harold often told people who asked about their friendship, "It's not that Sophia saved my life that night. It's that in saving mine, she discovered her own." Their story became a testament to the truth that real beauty isn't found in what we possess, but in what we give. It's not in how we appear to the world, but in how we appear for each other. And sometimes, the most glamorous life isn't the one lived in spotlights, but the one that becomes a light for others. As Sophia often says now, "I thought I was just helping a sick neighbor. I had no idea I was about to discover the most beautiful version of myself." Like and subscribe for more videos.